Hello, my name is Tony Dong. How one Utah congressional candidate's bid is tied to Gordon Hayward. Ainge family son seeks seat in Congress even as his famous dad, Boston Celtics general manager, pursues free agent Gordon Hayward. The messages and mentions started days before Tanner Ainge launched his congressional campaign for Representative Jason Chaffetz's seat. They trickled in slowly at first, some light heckling on Twitter, a few funny barbs on Facebook. Convince Gordon Hayward to stay in Utah, and you have my vote, said one fan. Hayward to the Celtics means Tanner Ainge doesn't gain a single vote in the primary, wrote another. With more than 100 similar posts flooding his feed, it soon became clear Ainge's debut bid for office would be inextricably tethered to the Jazz All-Stars' decision whether to stay or leave Utah, and the misplaced flag was because of Ainge's father. Danny Ainge is the general manager and president of basketball operations for the Boston Celtics. He has the chance to make a pitch to Hayward, an unrestricted free agent, on Sunday. It's created a lot of heartburn for Utah basketball fans and a little competition in the Ainge family. Tanner's got 5 kids, a couple little boys, and some days I see them wearing Isaiah Thomas t-shirts, some days I see them wearing Gordon Hayward jerseys, and some days it's Dante Exum jerseys, Danny Ainge said on a Boston radio show last week. Fire big Jazz fans, and they live in that neck of the woods. I get all that. Tanner Ainge, an investment advisor, has generally avoided the topic, struggling to steer voters instead toward his conservative policies and platforms. But when he gives in and participates in the discussion, it's to encourage Hayward to stay with the Jazz. I don't know why he would want to leave, Ainge told the Salt Lake Tribune, mentioning Utah's economy and Silicon Slopes' incentives to stick around. On Wednesday night, Ainge tweeted at Hayward a link to an article about how Massachusetts might levy a millionaire's tax, with increasing rates for higher incomes. Something to consider over the next few days, Ainge wrote, using the Jazz's signature take note. The message got 144 retweets and 370 likes. When he launched his campaign, Ainge also joked that everyone was only talking about Gordon Hayward, while he was focused on economic growth and fiscal responsibility. Still, plenty have gotten in on the romp. Real Salt Lake tweeted at Ainge on Friday, and signed the post the other pro team in Utah. State Representative Craig Hall encouraged Ainge to keep Utah Jazz fans' voters happy by telling his dad not to recruit Hayward. Yet for a campaign seemingly caught in the crossroads, Ainge isn't too anxious about any significant impact from the distraction. It's a fun conversation, he said, but what matters to voters in the 3rd Congressional District is the direction of the country. They are not going to vote in this election. Signs do, he said. I hope that people will take the opportunity to look past that and go to my website, aingeforcongress.com. and study my issues, and see what I'm saying on policy. And he's benefited somewhat from the name recognition of his famous father, also celebrated in Utah for his game-winning shot that sent BYU to the Elite Eight and MCAA championships in 1981. On Monday, Danny Ainge was the main host of a fundraiser for his son's campaign. Tickets for the Country Club affair in Heber went for $1,000 per individual or $2,700 per couple. While his campaign would not comment on how much the fundraiser raked in, Ainge's spokesman Peter Watkins said less than 50 people attended, so it's likely the event raised in the ballpark of $50,000. We're looking for as much support as we can get, and we'll need it, Watkins said. We expect it to be a competitive race. It's possible that hoped-for boost could come from the Romney family, where Ainge has some supporters and connections, Watkins. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here. Hello, my name is Tony Dong. Gordon Hayward's free agency reportedly hinges on whether the Jazz re-sign George Hill. Hill could stay in Utah. He had success, or bolt for a payday or championship elsewhere. Either way, the ball's in his court. The Utah Jazz will patiently wait while Gordon Hayward decides whether he wants to leave the only team he's known to join a contender or return to a franchise he guided to its first playoff appearance in the post-Jerry Sloan era. Now, it appears Utah's odds at retaining their all-star forward don't hinge on his decision alone. Hayward wants the Jazz to bring back point guard George Hill, according to the Deseret News Jody Jeansy. His decision to return to Utah could be contingent on whether or not the team can retain its starting floor general. Hill, who was traded from the Pacers to the Jazz last summer, averaged a career-best 16.9 points per game with Utah last season. He only played in 49 games, dealing with a sprained thumb early on, but the Jazz 33-16 when he was healthy on the floor. They finished the regular season 51-31, losing the tiebreaker to the Los Angeles Clippers to fall to the Western Conference's 5th seed. Hill has played at least 70 games in 6 of his 9 seasons, and played 50 games in the lockout-shortened 2011-12 season. It is fully conceivable the Jazz could have had a much better record had Hill played a full 82-game season. Cap breakdown: the 2017-18 salary cap is currently projected to reach $99 million, though that number is tentative and subject to change. The Jazz currently have just over $63 million committed in guaranteed salaries for next season. That doesn't include, however, the max contract starting at $29.7 million they'll have to offer Gordon Hayward, nor the $4.3 million cap hold on their room mid-level exception, the $4 million cap hold on Joe Ingles or Boris Diaw's $7.5 million contract that fully guarantees on July 15th. Safe to say Utah has some decisions to make this summer. Hill has some choices of his own. The 31-year-old floor general, fresh off of a career looking to pick up his last big paycheck. Hill is coming off of a 5-year, $40 million contract that paid $8 million flat per year. After Mike Conley signed for 5 years, $153 million last summer, everyone's looking to cash in. There's a good chance Hill doesn't garner a max contract this summer, but he could very well field offers in the $20 million per year ballpark. The Jazz will need to be prepared to shell out that much money if they want to keep their starting point guard. Realistically, if Utah wanted, it could re-sign George Hill, then bring back both Ingles and Hayward to keep the crew together. Doing so, however, would drown ownership and luxury taxes for a team the Warriors swept out of the second round in the playoffs. Does re-signing Hill make sense for the Jazz? If re-signing George Hill is the lone domino to knock down in order to retain Gordon Hayward, the Jazz should bulldoze it, and fast. Hill is a solid two-way combo guard with the physical tools to defend both backcourt positions. Has proven to be effective both with and without the ball, has leadership experience under Greg Popovich and the Spurs, and developed good chemistry in his first season in Utah. The Jazz have Rudy Gobert locked up in a max contract until at least 2021, and are developing Rodney Hood and Alec Burks into starting caliber wing players. If they bring the same team back, continue to develop their players, and improve via trade or small free agent signings, Utah could conceivably be the West's number 4 seed next season. Does re-signing with Utah make sense for Hill? That depends on what the other offers are. If there isn't an opportunity to compete for a championship available, San Antonio, a player's next best step is to secure as much money as humanly possible. If a 4-year max offer is coming from a team that may be on the outside of title contention, but could benefit from Hill's veteran leadership to make a playoff push, he should take the money. But if the difference in cash isn't much more than what he'd get from the Jazz, Hill should stay where he's had success. Hill's a player whose versatile skill set has been undervalued much of his career. He seems to have found a home in Utah, but Hill should get assurances from all parties involved that Hayward will re-sign. If he does, while it would free up more money for the Jazz to throw at him, it would make no sense for Hill to stay in Utah if Hayward bolts town. Probability Hill resigns with the Jazz. The Jazz are in an awkward scenario. They can offer Hayward more money than any other team, and are coming off of the most successful season in recent history. But their star player is threatening to leave for a contender. Boston, or potentially Miami, and wants their starting point guard re-signed if he's going to consider staying. What matters here is Hayward wants to compete for a championship, and the Jazz, with the same pieces they had last season, aren't close to competing against Golden State, San Antonio, or Houston's new all-star backcourt. For that reason, it makes no sense for the Jazz to overpay Hill instead of developing a young Dante Exum, and it makes even less sense for the veteran guard to stick around during a possible rebuild. I give Hill and the Jazz a 20% chance at a reunion. If Hayward decides to return, Hill will be back. But if the All-Star leaves for the Celtics or Heat, the veteran floor general should leave with him. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here.